Hey guys, what's up? It's Jonathan here from Infinite Potential Films, and today we're going to be discussing the virtual sets that we're making for GLaDOS. Now, for those of you who follow our Instagram page, you'll know that we've been posting a lot of stuff regarding our CGI environments for our upcoming film GLaDOS, and today I'm going to be explaining why we're doing that, why we're sort of making these virtual sets as opposed to going to a real studio or something like that. Now, having this time at home over the last 8 weeks, I think now, something along those lines, it's been really interesting because we've been able to sort of hone new skills. I mentioned it a couple of videos ago. It's been giving me a really good excuse to dive into Cinema 4D and really start integrating with the software. And I've always wanted to try and update my renders and make them much more believable, and I really think that I'm getting somewhere now. Obviously, this doesn't only benefit GLaDOS, it benefits us as a company in general. If we can produce much more realistic renders, then people are going to start to sort of fall back into the visual effects thing. You're not going to notice the visual effects as much, and you're going to sort of relate more to stories, which is more important when you're watching a film. You don't want to be focused on a really bad visual effect. So a couple of weeks into lockdown, I decided to start working on virtual sets for GLaDOS because I want to make sure that we get the best possible visual aesthetic for the film, and I wanted to make sure that we have something that Portal fans alike can go, oh, I remember that from the game. That being said, I want to make sure that people understand that this isn't going to be a copy and paste of things in the game. We've got one room in particular at the minute that I've made that follows sort of guidelines of the room that you see in Portal, but at the same time it doesn't follow them identically. And hopefully there you can see already that the render's looking a lot more realistic than the game itself, but it's also looking much more believable to drop a character into. You can actually see in the background there, that is the relaxation chamber that I'm currently working on. So we're about 90% done with that chamber, and at the minute I'm just kind of putting in the finishing touches, you know, making sure that the texture's right and making sure that the lighting's right, because not only do you have to have a realistic render, but you need to make sure that the lighting complements that, because at the end of the day, if you don't light your scene properly, it's not going to look realistic. So anyway, yeah, what I want to do is I want to jump into some questions that we've had regarding our virtual sets on our Instagram page. If you guys don't follow our Instagram page, make sure you check it out in the description below. We post a lot of stuff on there daily. We make sure that we communicate with everyone. So if you want to leave us a comment, you want to leave us a message, please head over there. We will respond to you. Our first question comes from Joey Lever. Hope you're well, Joey. Joey asks, how are you implementing the actors in such a way? Will everything be green screen? Yes and no. So we're going to implement the green screen technique with obviously a full CG environment, but at the same time we're also going to have real sets, and it's going to be sort of a set extension. If you guys know what a set extension is, it's basically if you have a foreground and the background's a green screen, all you do is you go in afterwards and replace that green screen with a bit of an extended set. We want to make sure that the actors have sort of an idea of what they're working with. You know, what certain films fall behind it is you just get dropped on a green screen, you don't know what you're supposed to be looking at, you don't know where your environment's supposed to be taking place. So that's another benefit of doing these sets now as opposed to in post-production. So yeah, I hope that sort of answers your question a bit there. James Richard Hill asks, what software are we using to make these sets? We're literally just using Cinema 4D. I've not got any external renderers like Octane or anything like that. I'm using the key tool of Cinema 4D, and I'm using all the different render techniques that are in the program. TSD Tom says, how many sets are you planning to build? Well, to be honest, we're planning on building around between 5 and 8. Obviously, the film's only going to be 25 minutes, and we want to make sure that the characters are getting used to environments. We don't want to just keep dropping them in different environments every so often. Rex Wolf asks, how are you guys tackling the portal gun in the film? Have you made a model? Well, with the portal gun, what I will say is that if you're here to see a film about a portal gun, you're probably not going to be best pleased. Obviously, the story takes place over the Ratman era, and it kind of leads into Portal. So when you first start that game, for example, you don't have the portal gun. Not to say that you're not going to see certain things. I'm trying to beat around the bush here when it comes to the plot, so bear with me. But the Portal games are Portal games, and they focus on that aspect of it, whereas we're focusing more on the character of GLaDOS, Doug Ratman, and a couple of other people. Dr. Mickles asks, how many bodies have you hidden so far? Dr. Mickles, I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on. Eleanor 1 asks, how long on average does it take to produce a CGI set? Well, I'd like to turn around and say, oh, it takes 5 minutes. It's just really straightforward, but it's not. For example, the GLaDOS one that you see in the trailer, that was a very, very early prototype of the set. All that was done in that set at the time was the floor, the walls, and GLaDOS. What I will say is right now that set is in a lot better condition, but I'm going to use some techniques that I've learned from this set here, and I'm going to implement them in the new GLaDOS set when I come to re-rendering certain certain textures and things like that. So the GLaDOS one's still a work in progress, for example. This one's about 90% done now, and this took me around 48 hours fully sort of deck it out. I'm pretty happy with that time, all things considered, that I'm still doing full-time work. You've still got to like clean the house, cook meals, you know, all that jazz. So 48 hours for this one. I've still got about 5 or 6 more to build, so I don't know. And our final question comes from George Bilbo. How big are the sets and how much do you plan to use of the sets? Very good question. That is probably my favourite question that I've had. That is a very interesting aspect to look at, because mentioning before, these sets take a long time to build and you don't really want to utilise a quarter of them or anything like that. For example, with this set here, it's a 360-degree set. You see every single corner of this room. I promise you, when you see the final render, you will see every section of this room. The sets themselves differ in size. For example, this set is quite a small set, but the GLaDOS set is a huge set. So yeah, it all differs on what we're trying to convey, but that was a really good question, so thank you. But anyway guys, I hope that you've enjoyed some of the insight that we've brought to you today regarding the full virtual set, and I hope that you've got a bit of an understanding of why we're doing this now. What I will say is, for anyone who wants to go and donate to our Patreon page, you will be seeing a lot of these sets go up on there. We're going to be sharing the full detailed renders with you, so if you can, please feel free to donate. If not, make sure you head over to our Instagram page and subscribe to this channel, because we'll be posting new updates once a month. And I just want to reiterate guys, obviously we want to get this film released for December this year, but at the same time we're not going to be rushing. So with everything that's going on in the world, we're slowing down the progress a bit with the actual principal photography shoot, but regarding the CGI environments, they're getting along fine. Thank you for watching this video guys. Please consider subscribing, because it really helps the channel out and it helps me and Carl establish sort of what content you guys really want to see. Please also check out our social medias in the description below so you can keep up to date with all the Infinite Potential film news. Have a great Sunday guys, and remember, as always, collaboration is key.